All right, so I would like to ask you a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you recently avail any services from home service providers? What kind and how was your experience?
I recently availed two types of home services provided by home service providers. First was getting AC maintenance from Dolan's, which was 2 weeks ago. And the second one was getting a fan fixed by an electrician, which was 1 week ago. The experience overall was pretty standard as you'd expect. However, I do have privacy and security related concerns with regards to how these services are often carried out.
All right, so what are some of your main concerns when it comes to hiring home service providers?
It's often that when you, for example, call companies like Dolan's, you don't exactly know who you're working with. You don't exactly know as in how long they've been working and what they do. You don't exactly know if they're proficient at what they do. You don't exactly know like what they can do with the amount of data they have access to, especially with regards to the location of your home, with regards to your name, possibly with regards to your number, right? These people are often very hard to get in contact with after they've done their work. And it's often, there's hardly any guarantee of success because sometimes you can fall into scams. And unless you have any sort of idea about whether the person that's come into your house is experienced or not, it's very easy to fall into these scams. Because whenever we are referred someone, we immediately place all our suspicions away. And that's something I would definitely consider a risk of home service provision.
All right. Did you or anyone you know ever face any issue regarding home service providers? And more specifically, are you aware of any cases where families may have been victims of crime at the hands of home service providers?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So this was last year. It happened in Bahadrabad when we were at my uncle's place. And what happened is we left the upper door of the house open while the main gate was locked. And someone who they had recently hired to fix their air conditioning showed up 3 days later and ended up robbing the entire house around Fajr time and taking all of our belongings, our phone, all the jewelry that was in that house. So that's definitely a scenario where we were victim to crime due to home service provision.
So what do you suggest, how could we tackle this issue, especially considering that the increasing rate of poverty leads to an increasing rate of crime? So how do you suggest we could tackle this issue regarding home service providers, especially in regards to our security and credibility of these home service providers?
I think as far as knowing their veritability, I would say there needs to be a database. There needs to be some way where if you are contacting someone to get into your home, they need to be registered with the government. And it's not something that's particularly new, right? Most job forces, most businesses have to get registered with the government. So it's surprising that these guys aren't. And once the government has a database of all these people and the services that they provide, it should be accessible to the public, I think, because this way you can look up or maybe have an idea of a past record of anyone who's come into your home and understand if you want to let them into your safe spaces or not. So I think licensing would go a long way, because if they are licensed individuals, they hold a risk of losing their license whenever they commit any sort of fraudery. And that license can hold them accountable through the government, I think, because later down the line, if you do end up scamming people, if you do end up, committing crime, you can have your source of livelihood perhaps be at risk. It's very similar to how the police takes away your driving paper. It takes them hostage for a while if you are, for example, part of an accident and not willing to pay up the money for repairs. And yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
तस्दीक अपने मुलाजिमीन को रजिस्टर करवाएं।